welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is going on, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and thank you for joining me for another video here on the channel. Of course, today is the Hot 10 breakdown of the week. If you guys aren't familiar with this one, I take the 10 hottest comics according to the Key Collector app, and I break them down for you guys here on the channel every week. They drop on Thursdays, but on Tuesdays or Mondays, I drop them for members of the channel. So if you're interested, do yourself a favor, check it out. But before we get started in this one, I want to remind you guys, if you're not a current subscriber of the channel, do me a favor, go ahead, click that sub button, smash the hell out of that like button. Let's get as many likes as we can on this one. And of course, check out all the new merch I have for sale down below. With that said, let's get into this week's breakdown. At the 10 spot this week is a copy of Legend of Zelda #1, the comic book series inspired by the Legend of Zelda video game on the Nintendo console, and a CGC 9.2 just sold last week for $299, up 33% over the average. We also had a CGC 9.6 sale for $675, up 9% over the average. Again, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. I enjoy The Adventures of Link, Legend of Zelda, but there's no way in hell I'm spending close to $900, $700, $500 on this book. It's not worth it to me. If you want something Zelda related to own in your collection, I suggest getting a graded copy of a classic Nintendo game, The Legend of Zelda. I think that's a better place to put your money regarding this character. At number 9 this week is a copy of House of Secrets #92 and the first appearance of the Swamp Thing, Alex Olsen. Now, I have had a bunch of people tell me that they'd rather own Swamp Thing #1 with the newer Swamp Thing. However, I'm always a buyer of this book, and a CGC 9.2 just sold last week for a whopping $8,500, up 14% over the average. We also had a slabbed copy of an 8.0 sell for $3,120, up 1% over that average. Again, this is a classic cover by Bernie Wrightson, a classic key, first appearance of the original Swamp Thing, a must own, and a thumbs up from me. At the 8th spot this week is a copy of Fantastic Four #25 and the first battle between the Hulk and the Thing, but this is also the second appearance of Captain America in the Silver Age. Now notice I said it's the first battle between the Hulk and the Thing, but Hulk and Thing have met before in Fantastic Four #12, and a CGC 6.5 just sold the prior week for $818, up 13% over that average. We also had a CGC 5.0 sell for $480, up 5% over that average. Again, if I want to own a Hulk versus Thing book, to me it's Fantastic Four #12. It predates this one. I know they didn't battle this one, but that is the better cover in my opinion. It's the money book when we're talking about Hulk versus Thing. That's the one I'd buy, not this one here, although it's a cool key to have. If I can get it for cheap, I may pick it up. At number 7 this week is a copy of Batman #181 and this classic first appearance of Poison Ivy, one of my favorite Silver Age Batman keys, and a CGC 5.5 just sold last week for $1,100, up 17% over that average. We also had a slab 5.0 sale for $955, up 10% over that average. You guys know when we're talking about Batman and we're talking about Silver Age keys, it's this one, it's 121, and it's 227. Those are the three I want to own from the Silver Age. Yes, I'm a buyer of this one at all times as long as it's complete and has the pinup intact. Coming in at number 6 this week is, guess what? Omega Men #3 and the first appearance of Lobo. How did this book sneak back on this list? And a CGC 9.8 just sold last week for $375, up 12% over that average. Again, I've talked about this book at nauseum in the past. I like Lobo. I think it's an awesome character, but I don't want to spend $375 on this book. And you know, if I'm going to buy this book, it's going to be a 9.8 only. I'm saying if you want to buy this book, there's been a ton of transactions going on with this one. Stick to a 9.8, but it's got to be around $300 if you want to own this one, all right? Coming in at the 5 spot is a book that's been on the list for the better part of this year. It is a copy of Batman Adventures #12 and the first appearance of Harley Quinn in a standard comic, and a CGC 9.8. Just sold the prior week for $2,826, up 4% over that average. You guys know I'm not a buyer of this book. However, if I was going to be, it's going to be at a 9.8 only. A lot of people come at me for this book saying they want to own it in any grade because they love the character, and I think that's 100% fine. If you love the character and are married to it, get whatever the hell grade you want it just to own the book. But for me, for financial reasons, I only want to own 9.8. But I'm not a huge Harley Quinn fan, so I'm probably not buying this one anyway. At number 4 this week is a copy of Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1 and the first appearance of Admiral Thrawn in a CGC. 9.8 just sold last week for $1,130, up 9% over the average. This book has been on the list for the better part of 4 weeks now in a row, climbing towards that top spot. You guys know I'm not a modern age Star Wars collector. If I'm going to buy a Star Wars book, it's going to be the books from the late 70s. That's what I'd be buying, not this one. But hey, if you're a monster Star Wars fan and you want to own it, don't let me stop you. Just pick the grade that you want to own. Coming in at number 3 this week is another Star Wars key. It is Star Wars Clone Wars #1 and the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano, another book that's been on the list for the better part of a month, and a CGC. 9.8 just sold last week for a whopping $2,100, up 5% over that average. I'm going to say ditto to what I just said about the previous Star Wars book. If you're a huge Star Wars fan and you collect these modern books, just be careful, because it seems after these characters show up or after we get some kind of announcement, they seem to drop. So just be careful and make sure you're a long-term holder. Coming in at the 2 spot this week is a classic cover. It is a copy of Wolverine #1 and the first solo Wolverine title, albeit in a limited series, and a CGC. 9.8 just sold last week for $780, up 9% over that average. I'm going to say it, every comic book collector should own this book in their collection. It is a mainstay. I love this cover by Frank Miller. With that said, if I'm going to own it, I want to own it at a 9.8, and there's no way I'm shelling out almost $800 to do so. So with that said, I'm staying away at this price. But again, if you want to pay around $100, $150 for a nice high-grade copy, I'm all over it. And at the top spot this week for a second week in a row, it is a copy of Incredible Hulk #271 and the second appearance of Rocket Raccoon and first cover appearance. And a Slabbed 9.0 just sold the prior week for $261, up 13% over that average. We also had a CGC 9.0 sale for $1,150, up 3% over that average. And I can't say out there why anyone would buy a 9.8 copy of this book. I know it's a key, but again, if I'm going to own it, I want it in a decent grade that's not going to break the bank. I could probably put $1,200 to work somewhere else for a much better key, in my opinion. I'm not buying this one here. I think Rocket's an awesome character, but not too sure if they're going to use him for going on in the MCU. If you're a long-term collector and want to hold it, or you love the character and just want to own the book, be my guest. That's it for this week's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, some new great books on this list, and again, some of the same stuff that we've been seeing over the past couple of months. Again, if you haven't hit that sub button, smash it. If you haven't hit that like button, do yourself a favor and me a favor, hit that like button. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.